The weight of external expectations and the promise of release. Have you ever felt like you're carrying a heavy weight, one that you can't quite shake off no matter how hard you try? Imagine waking up every day with a mind full of worries, constantly thinking about what others might think of you, or whether you're meeting expectations that were never even yours to begin with. That heavy burden of self-doubt, fear of judgment, and overthinking. It feels suffocating, doesn't it? Now, picture something different. What if you could let go of all that? What if you stopped obsessing over what people say about you? What if the weight of proving yourself to others, the fear of failure, and the constant need for validation didn't control you anymore? What if freedom came not from trying harder, but from caring less? It might sound counterintuitive, but today, we're about to explore a profound philosophy that can help you find the peace you've been searching for. This is the wisdom of Michel de Montaigne, a thinker whose ideas were ahead of their time and are still deeply relevant to us today. Centuries ago, Montaigne uncovered a truth that modern psychology is just beginning to understand, that the key to a more fulfilling life isn't in chasing approval or constantly striving for more. Instead, it lies in letting go of unnecessary pressures and embracing the randomness and unpredictability of life. Sounds like a big claim, right? But stick with me, and let's dive deeper. Montaigne's revolutionary insight was that much of our suffering doesn't come from external events. It's how we react to those events that cause us pain. So when we shift our perspective, when we stop attaching ourselves to external validation, that's when we free ourselves from the burdens that weigh us down. Montaigne lived in a time marked by chaos, war, disease, and political instability. Yet he didn't let these uncontrollable forces destroy him. Instead, he turned inward, taking the time to understand the complexities of human nature, fear, self-doubt, and the absurdity of life. He dedicated years of his life to writing essays on these subjects, providing insight that we still find valuable today. And one of his central messages? Stop chasing approval, stop fearing judgment, and stop resisting the natural flow of life. By doing this, Montaigne believed that life would begin to work itself out in ways that we couldn't even imagine. You might be thinking, how does this apply to my life? How can these old ideas help me with my daily struggles? That's exactly what we're going to explore. Ask yourself this: how often do you sacrifice your peace of mind to meet someone else's expectations? How much of your life do you spend worrying about things beyond your control? Montaigne's philosophy isn't about being indifferent or careless. It's about realizing where your energy is best spent, focusing on your growth, not the approval of others, and learning to embrace the imperfection that makes you human. It's time to stop chasing after external validation and to start focusing on what truly matters: your own journey, your own growth, and your own peace. But to truly embrace this philosophy, we have to first understand what it means to let go of the burdens that we carry. In the next section, we'll dive deeper into how Montaigne's insights can help you break free from the chains of overthinking, self-doubt, and fear. The best part? You don't have to do this alone. We're in this together. So, stay tuned. The journey has just begun. Embracing life's uncertainty and the freedom it brings. What if I told you that most of your struggles, your fears, and your anxieties were completely self-imposed? Imagine for a moment stepping away from the relentless need to control every little detail of your life. Think about what would happen if you allowed yourself to simply be. No more worrying about whether you're measuring up. No more battling against the unpredictability of life. How much lighter would you feel? In today's world, we are bombarded with messages that tell us to strive for more success, more recognition, more perfection. Society teaches us that the path to happiness is paved with hard work and constant effort, that we must push ourselves beyond our limits to achieve the life we desire. But what if the truth is different? What if, the more we chase after these external rewards, the further we push ourselves away from true fulfillment? This is where Montaigne's wisdom becomes invaluable. His teachings challenge the very foundations of modern thinking. Montaigne recognized that life is unpredictable. No matter how hard we try to control it, things will always unfold in ways we don't expect. And yet, the more we resist this natural flow of life, the more we struggle. He proposed something radical. Rather than forcing outcomes, we should embrace life as it comes. Let go of the need to control and trust that everything will fall into place when the time is right. What Montaigne realized is that our suffering comes not from the events themselves, but from our reaction to them. When we try to control every aspect of life, we create unnecessary stress and anxiety. But when we shift our perspective, when we embrace the uncertainty of life and stop resisting it, we experience freedom. We no longer feel trapped by circumstances. Instead, we begin to flow with life rather than against it. Consider this. How often do you try to control things that are completely out of your hands? How many times have you found yourself stressing over things that, in the grand scheme of things, really don't matter? It could be the opinion of a colleague, the outcome of a project, or how others perceive you. We spend so much mental energy trying to shape the world to our liking, only to find ourselves exhausted, frustrated, and disappointed when things don't go according to plan. Montaigne's philosophy teaches us to stop forcing things. It's about learning to accept that some things are simply beyond our control. This doesn't mean we give up or stop striving for our goals. It means we let go of the need to dictate every outcome and learn to trust the process. Here's a simple example. Think about the way we handle failure. Most people fear failure because we see it as a reflection of our worth. We're afraid of making mistakes, of being judged, of not being good enough. But Montaigne encouraged us to view failure differently. He didn't see failure as the enemy, he saw it as a natural part of the journey. In fact, modern psychology backs this up. Studies have shown that those who adopt a growth mindset, people who see failure as an opportunity to learn rather than something to fear, tend to achieve more in the long run. When we stop obsessing over perfection, we free up mental energy to focus on what truly matters: growth, learning, and progress. Imagine if you started seeing failure not as something to fear, but as a chance to grow. How would that change the way you approach challenges? Would you be more willing to take risks, to try new things without the weight of perfectionism hanging over you? The beauty of Montaigne's philosophy is that it's deeply practical. It doesn't just apply to grand philosophical debates, it speaks directly to our everyday lives. He wrote extensively about human nature, exploring why we act the way we do and how we can break free from unnecessary suffering. What makes his ideas so powerful is that he was brutally honest. He didn't pretend to have all the answers, and he openly admitted his own flaws. He didn't shy away from his own imperfections, and in doing so, he uncovered something profound, that by embracing our imperfections, we free ourselves. Think about how you approach relationships. Have you ever noticed that when you stop seeking approval from others, you become more at ease, more authentic? People are drawn to confidence and authenticity, not desperation or insecurity. When you stop overthinking every conversation, relationships flow more naturally. Montaigne's wisdom reminds us that true connection doesn't come from impressing others, but from simply being yourself. And success? Montaigne believed that relentless effort and constant stress are not the keys to achievement. In fact, some of the most successful people throughout history have mastered the art of detachment. They focus on what they can control, but they don't obsess over every detail. Whether it's an athlete preparing for a competition or an artist creating their next masterpiece, those who find true success do so not by forcing things, but by allowing them to unfold naturally. This is Montaigne's gift to us, the realization that we don't need to carry the weight of perfectionism, fear, and control on our shoulders. By letting go of these unnecessary burdens, we make room for clarity, creativity, and peace. So I'll ask you again, what would happen if you stopped trying to control everything? What if you started trusting the process and allowing things to unfold? In the next section, we'll dive even deeper into how you can apply Montaigne's philosophy to daily life, from handling criticism with grace to cultivating a mindset that fosters inner peace, no matter what life throws your way. Stay tuned, because the best is yet to come. The power of self-acceptance and living authentically. Let's get real for a moment. How often do you find yourself pretending to be someone you're not, just to fit in or to meet others' expectations? Whether it's at work, with friends, or even in your own family, we all wear masks from time to time. We hide parts of ourselves because we're afraid of rejection or judgment. But here's the kicker. When we're not being true to ourselves, we're robbing the world and ourselves of something beautiful. Montaigne, in his ever raw and honest writings, encouraged us to drop the act. He was one of the first to truly embrace self-acceptance. What makes his philosophy so powerful is that it speaks to our everyday struggles, the parts of ourselves we often hide or try to change. He understood that our imperfections are not something to be ashamed of, but something to be celebrated. In fact, he believed that embracing who we are, flaws and all, is the key to living a fulfilled life. Think about it. How many times have you felt uncomfortable in your own skin, comparing yourself to others? Maybe you've looked at someone and thought, why can't I be more like that? But Montaigne would challenge that thought. He would ask, why not embrace who you already are? This isn't about complacency or resigning yourself to a life of mediocrity. Far from it. It's about accepting yourself as a work in progress, understanding that you're already worthy of love and respect, regardless of your imperfections. Only then can you unlock your true potential. Let me give you a concrete example of this in action. Think about how many times you've gotten caught up in the cycle of self-doubt. You start a new project or meet new people and immediately begin comparing yourself to others. Am I doing this right? Are they judging me? What if I fail? This fear of judgment holds so many people back. We let it dictate how we show up in the world, often putting on a mask that doesn't reflect our true selves. But Montaigne invites us to stop worrying about how others perceive us. He understood the value of inner peace, of knowing who you are and being unapologetic about it. When you stop seeking validation from others, something incredible happens. You start living authentically. And when you live authentically, you attract people who appreciate you for who you truly are, not for who you think you should be. This doesn't mean that we don't continue to grow and evolve. It means that growth comes from a place of self-acceptance rather than self-rejection. When you accept your flaws, you take the pressure off. You no longer need to be perfect to be enough. You can make mistakes, fail, learn, and still love yourself in the process. And here's the magic. When we stop pretending, we find freedom. We no longer carry the heavy burden of trying to meet others' expectations. We stop seeking approval, and instead, we begin to live our lives based on our own values. Montaigne was a master at this. He didn't just reflect on his life in a detached, theoretical way. He lived his philosophy. He admitted to his flaws, he shared his struggles, and he didn't shy away from difficult truths. His writing was personal, relatable, and deeply human. And because of this honesty, his work still resonates today. Living authentically means being okay with your imperfections. It means acknowledging that you will never have it all figured out, and that's perfectly fine. In fact, it's more than fine. It's liberating. When you embrace who you are and stop comparing yourself to others, you unlock a level of creativity, joy, and peace that is otherwise impossible to find. So let me ask you, how would your life change if you stopped pretending? What if you allowed yourself to be exactly who you are, flaws and all, and started embracing the beauty of your unique journey? This shift toward authenticity is not just a philosophical ideal. It's a practical, everyday choice. The more you practice self-acceptance, the more you begin to show up in the world with confidence and clarity. You'll notice that, over time, you're less concerned with the judgment of others, and more focused on what truly matters to you. Your relationships will deepen, your goals will become clearer, and your life will feel lighter.